Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. Massachusetts Senator and progressive champion Elizabeth Warren became the breakout surrogate for Hillary Clinton's presidential run. And throwing aside Trump's attacks and even insults, Warren hit him with the counterpunch and never let up.
He thinks that because he has money, that he can call women fat pigs and bimbos. He thinks because he is a celebrity, that he can rate women's bodies from 1 to 10. He thinks that because he has a mouthful of Tic Tacs, that he can force himself on any woman within groping distance. Well, I got news for you, Donald Trump. Women have had it with guys like you. On November 8th, we nasty women are going to march our nasty feet to cast our nasty votes to get you out of our lives forever.
Well, Warren's fiery speeches at rallies across the country like that one in 2016 were but a prelude to her voice today in the resistance. And who knows what's coming in 2020. The author of This Fight Is Our Fight, The Battle to Save America's Middle Class, joins us right now. Senator Warren of Massachusetts, thank you. Let's do 3 things in the next 12 minutes. The breaking news, Donald Trump, and your book, okay? Let's start with the breaking news today. We didn't think this would happen, but first, this just happened. Here's what Hillary Clinton said today when asked about her election for president and whether she was a victim of misogyny. Let's listen.
Were you a victim of misogyny? And why do you think you lost the majority of the white female vote?
The book's coming out in the fall.
But we're
just to give you a tiny little preview, yes, I do think it played a role. I think other things did as well.
Senator Warren, what do you make of that? She did it slowly and with not a lot of enthusiasm, but said, yes, misogyny played a role in her defeat last November.
So look, I want to read her book too and see what she has to say about it. But a lot of things went wrong last fall. Let's face it. I don't think it's any one thing. And I think what matters most is that now we got to get out there and talk about what we're going to fight for, what Democrats are going to fight for, that we're really going to be out there to fight for working people across this country. And I just think that's what we've got to keep hammering on. We've got to make it happen because people are counting on us.
Well, you've got a target right now. Trump now says that he wants to have a government shutdown. He said it would be good for the country come September. You've been through a couple. You're relatively new to this business of destroying the government in order to supposedly run it, but he seems to be a champion of wanting to do it. I've never seen a guy or a woman or anybody say, that'd be good.
You know, and that's the thing. When the government is shut down, it costs this country literally billions, even trillions of dollars. We miss out on all kinds of contracts. We shut things down that mean that tourists can't come. It's everywhere. It is staggeringly irresponsible to say, let's just shut down the government. In fact, it was the threat of shutting down the government, the fact that the Republicans would own it, since they have the White House, they have the Senate, they have the House of Representatives, that drove Congress toward cutting this budget deal that we're going to sign off on this week. Donald Trump just seems to helicopter in from who knows where and come up with ideas that are not just bad ideas. They're ideas that are damaging to the working families that he once promised he was going to make this government run for.
Most people have a hard time figuring out who was our greatest president, whether it was FDR or it was Lincoln, but a lot of people go to Lincoln regardless of their political party. Here is what the president said the other day in the Oval Office, actually, about the Civil War. Let's listen.
I mean, had Andrew Jackson been a little bit later, you wouldn't have had the Civil War. He was a very tough person, but he had a big heart, and he was really angry that he saw what was happening with regard to the Civil War. He said, there's no reason for this. People don't realize, you know, the Civil War, you think about it, why? People don't ask that question. But why was there the Civil War? Why could that one not have been worked out?
So there's a lot of things he hasn't thought about before. And this one, I don't know what he thought the rebels were fighting for in the South for 4 years. In bare feet they fought for slavery. And he doesn't understand what the war was about.
Well, and that he somehow thinks that Andrew Jackson a racist slave owner
Yeah.
would have helped avoid the Civil War. I don't like to think about the ways in which Andrew Jackson would have helped avoid the Civil War if he'd had the chance. I don't think that's how we built the America of opportunity for all of us, or at least tried to aim in that direction. Lord.
You know, he didn't like Indians either. I noticed your book mentioned the Pocahontas, that little meme he has on you. What do you think? Oh, never mind. We won't get in. I just think it's amazing that he goes back and said he had a big heart. I've heard a lot about Old Hickory, but never that he had a big heart for the slaves he whipped or the Indians he killed. But we all know he was one mean SOB at minimum.
Well, and, you know, there's this fundamental question. Does Donald Trump even get what the Civil War was about?
No.
From the clip you gave, it sounds like he thought it was some kind of business negotiation rather than that this was truly about enslaved people, something that Old Hickory clearly supported and was part of. So this is just one more of these. It's not just baffling when Donald Trump does this. It really makes you just stop and ask, what is this man's worldview? You know, just kind of, how does he approach the whole notion of what America is and what America stands for and what we ought to be out there fighting for? I can't explain him.
Well, I'm cutting to something I didn't have it planned, and I want to go with this now. Your speaking ability is really thrilling. You have a mastery. No, when you're making your point, this is not a comedy act when you're doing it. It's damn good political salesmanship. It's rhetoric of the best political kind. You get your audience riled up, you get them roused up, they're happy. As Mario Cuomo used to be able to do this, you leave people upbeat about what they can get done at the end of the speech. It's not eating spinach, it's not the Stations of the Cross. When they're done with you, they're happy, they can go out and fight. All right? That's a good thing. And I hope you're smiling because very few people have this talent. I watched Hillary watch you. You couldn't see it out of the corner of your eye. Hillary was relieved and thrilled that you could sell the progressive message in a happy, progressive, you know, hopeful way. It doesn't have to be just spinach eating and we got to do this. It isn't all grinding it out. It's joyous self-rule. And you seem to know how to do it. So tell me how you sell that to your other progressives out there so it doesn't have to be too academic and too miserable.
Chris, you're very generous to put it that way, but I want to be clear. I don't sell anything. I just go out and speak from the heart. You know, for me, all of this is personal. I am a kid whose, you know, dad ended up as a maintenance man. And I ended up as a Harvard law professor and a United States senator because I grew up in an America that was investing in kids like me, an America that said, if you got the moxie to get out there, the rest of us are going to pitch in and build enough opportunities that you'll be able to do whatever it is that you can. And then I watched from 1980 forward with Ronald Reagan and deregulation and trickle-down economics and cutting taxes for those at the top so there was less money to go into education, to go into infrastructure, to go into basic research, to create that vigorous economy and to create opportunities for our kids. I've watched that shrink up and shrink up and shrink up for 35 years. That's basically the story of this book, but more importantly, it's the story of what I'm out there fighting for, and I want everybody in this fight. That's why I wrote this book. I want to see more people in the fight because, let's face it, this is our only chance now. Donald Trump could deliver the knockout blow to American families.
How do you convince the working person out there? A lot of women, too, white women. I hate the way we do it, almost like an apartheid. We go by categories, but white women voted for Trump. How do you go to those people and say, you know what, he's got a good voice, he knows how to make his case, but it's all basically wrong for your interests? And but see, there's a problem. You're a progressive. And a good one. You know how to make the points. I'm not knocking it. I don't call it salesman, just be able to get it across. And yet a lot of times it comes across when the liberals make their case as cultural superiority, looking down on people. They say, wait a minute, they're talking down to me. Something, the old Adlai Stevenson knock, you know that, it goes way back. How come liberals get hit with the rap, they're talking down to people?
Well, because sometimes they do. You know, look, I'm not going to get out there and tell people they somehow heard things wrong. I think the real point is we got to talk with everyone where they are. That's what's critically important. And let me say this about Donald Trump. Donald Trump got out. He tapped into a real anger in America, a legitimate anger in America. People who are angry because their kids can't get an education without getting crushed by student loan debt. Angry that their kids can't get decent jobs in this economy. Angry that after a lifetime of hard work, that nobody can afford to retire with some dignity. Angry that they bust their tails and just keep falling further and further behind. So here's how I see this going forward. And that is, I don't have to make jokes about Donald Trump. I don't have to talk about, name calling or anything else. For me, it's now he is building a record. He's no longer a candidate. He has a record. Every day he's signing off on laws. He's doing executive orders. He's getting out there and making policy. Our job is to focus on what he does and then to hold him accountable. Because at the end of the day, when we hit the next round of elections, 2018, the question is going to be, whose side did these folks fight on? The Republicans out there fighting for the rich and the powerful. Donald Trump out there fighting for the rich and the powerful. We Democrats, we're out there fighting for working people, and we need to not only make it clear, we need to actually do it.
What do you make about the presidency? And I know you don't want to talk about it. I'm going to try it. Because you do have the stuff, and I think you know it. You don't have to say it. Everybody else knows it. We had Howard Dean on last night. I'm not sure what he's up to, but he said the next Democratic nominee for president, when we get around it, not that way far off, as you know, these things start early, under 50. Now, I don't know where this comes from, because I have a sense that pizzazz isn't age-related and excitement isn't age-related. I mean, Trump's pretty old by any standard, and he's got whatever it is. It's certainly ability to sell himself. Do you think there's anything to do with age coming up in terms of picking the nominee?
I got to say, I just don't know. But I do want to.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer, actually. It's a good answer.
But what I do want to say, if you give me a chance, I'm going to make a different point. And that is, I understand why you and others talk about what's going to happen in 2020. It is interesting, and obviously it's monumentally important.
It's coming.
But today is coming. Tomorrow is coming. What Donald Trump does between right now and the time you and I wake up tomorrow morning can totally move this earth.
I know.
What Donald Trump will do during the day. No, but let me make a point here. It's that we've got to be in this fight right now. This is why I wrote this book. We've got to get people into this fight now. Yes.
The reason I say it is because I think the thought, and you probably shared it, that Hillary Clinton would win and serve in the presidency for 8 years. It was not only conventional wisdom, it was smart thinking. It looked that was the way it was headed a couple weeks before the election, for sure. And so the Democrats don't really have, as you would say in the Red Sox bullpen, you don't really have someone in the on-deck circle. There's nobody ready to be president right now because there's no time to get ready. So the reason I talked to you about running for president is I'm really trying to get you excited about the fact that we need leaders in this country on the progressive side. We've got one on the other side, and I think it's a fair question. Your book, The Fight is Our Fight. By the way, you can get this on Amazon right away. I do like to sell books here. Progressive watch this program, and I think it's a book to get your head around a lot of the things that the Senator Warren's going to be talking about for the rest of her career, actually. These are I think this is the central you here, right in here.
It is. This book is really about my life's work, and it's about the stories of who's affected, and it's about how we get in the fight and are effective.
My student loan was $2,800 coming out of Holy Cross, $2,800 payable at 3% when you finally got around to it after grad school, after the Peace Corps. That was doable. That was doable. Today, we're looking at people with six-figure bills that are just, they slow them down.
Unbelievable.
Thank you so much up there.
Thank you
so much, Senator Elizabeth Warren from the Bay State.